Hey guys, how you doing? jpsarrireviews here. Welcome again to another video. Now, this video, first and foremost, is a reason for me to express my gratitude to those who took the time on my previous video where I express the loss of my niece. I want to say thank you. Thank you very much for taking the time to leave some notes and comments, expressing your condolences, and I thank you for that. It means a lot to me when I see people they really take the time to do those things. It's living in a society where everything is fast and it's all about what I can get out of a relationship. We do that all the time. We all do. I'm guilty of it, you know, like everyone else. I watch videos just to see what I can get out of it, follow people just to see what I can get out of it, rather than just really care much about what they really have to say, personally, on a personal level, of course. So I'm grateful that there are still people out there that take the time to do it. And I know many of you perhaps didn't have the opportunity to do so, but watch the video and maybe left a like, and thank you for that. It was not a video that I really care much about producing just for viewership, but it was a video that I wanted to express my heart and also needed to release some of that grief that I was experiencing at the moment. So it was perhaps the most of all the videos I have produced, and I produced, I don't know, over 1,000 videos or so, the most personal for me, where I choke, you know, I cry there, but it was something that I needed to do. I needed to release that, and I thank you for that. Thank you for that. You took the time to watch it. That means a lot to me. But yeah, this video also, it's not only for gratitude, but it's a video that I want to dedicate to the memory of my niece, Joyce Alanis. Sarricolea, that's our last name. Was a beautiful soul. She was wonderful. She was amazing. Even though I did not have the opportunity to meet her much over time, she was 11 years old. She turned 11 back in February this year. And she was going back to school. As I mentioned in the previous video, she was diagnosed with leukemia a year and a half ago. I was there. I went to visit when she was diagnosed that year. I went and visit her family. So I traveled to California, drove to the Arizona desert. They live right there on the border with Yuma. And I spent the Christmas there. My parents were there. My sister was there. We spent time there. Unfortunately, I couldn't see her as she was in the hospital at that moment. And because of her condition, she couldn't just see anybody. She was in a room protected because her white cells were so low that, you know, any contact with any type of germ or any type of sickness will kill her. So she was protected. I couldn't do it. We FaceTime. I spoke with my brother. He came to visit because he was spending most of the time there. He was in the hospital. I only saw him once when I was there. And we went out. We went to a Starbucks. We just got a coffee. We chat for a little bit, and that was about it. But I wanted to be there to support my family. So that was a year and a half ago, so sort of. The year passed, of course, communication, we talk about it, you know, I spoke with them. I spoke also FaceTime again, my niece another time. And I told her that I promised her as soon as she was feeling better or doing better, that I would take her to Disneyland, Disney World, or she would come here because I'm close to Disney World or Disneyland over there in California. It didn't matter. I would take her any place. So she was so excited, you know, she talked about it forever. That's what my sister-in-law was saying, that she was always saying, my uncle is going to take me to Disneyland, to Disney World. And that was her thing. You know, she was, oh, my uncle is going to do this for me. And my niece was such a bundle of joy, and you can call it that. She also was very happy about she watched my videos. Yeah, surprisingly enough. She watched my videos. She would say, oh, my uncle is on YouTube. I'm watching the videos. Of course, the content that I produce is not for kids, but she was watching it because she was so supportive and she liked what I did, I guess, you know. Mostly she was happy to see her uncle on TV or on the tablet, because she loved to use her tablet. That was her thing. And another thing about Joyce is that she was super, super smart. And she was very temperamental too. She had a strong temper, something that is very common in our family, but primarily with women. Women in our family are very, very strong. So she was definitely the mini version of my mother. She was bossy. She would boss around her older brother, her brother Alan, but that's who she was. And to me, that was it was amazing to see her. And I did not get the opportunity to see her more over the years. I did not travel much over there to visit my brother. I only was there when she was a year old. With my wife, my daughter were there. We were there. She was a baby, beautiful little baby with a strong hold. She was holding my wife forever and didn't want to let go. But I did not get the opportunity to visit often over the years. And of course, until a year and a half ago when she was diagnosed, and I didn't have the opportunity to see her in person. And of course, this time around when I traveled there, technically just to bury her. I regret that. I gotta be honest with you. I regret not having the opportunity to go often. And not because I did not have the opportunity to do so. It's just I did not make the effort to do it, maybe a yearly thing. I regret that very, very much. And I want to give a little bit of course, insight on it. Just to kind of have a foundation of it. It's because my relationship with my brother has never been the greatest. I left home when I was around 17, almost 18 years old. I became more responsible. My brother and I, we were in separate ways. You know how it is when you have siblings. There's always this relationship that is a little bit rough on the edges. You don't really get along as well, particularly when you're kind of like back to back. The difference between us was like maybe 10 months and a half, something like that. We were almost the same age, although we were in different grades, but we were almost on the same age. And that's because my brother is a premature baby. He was a premature baby. He was only 7 months old. My mother got pregnant right away as soon as she got me. She got pregnant right away. And of course, George came. And we were always close, and even my mother, we were so close that sometimes people thought we were twins, because we couldn't look alike, although we're not that alike. We have different features and all, but a lot of people, my mom, for some weird reason, decided to dress us the same, which I didn't like back then. And I was so happy when I got older and I was able to dress myself. And I think he did too, but we share everything. And of course, there's rivalries. I think normal things that happen between kids, and particularly when you're siblings, you're competing with each other in a way. Although I was never competing, but I felt that maybe my brother felt that way. I don't know. It's just, I did too, because I could be a little bit a smart mouth, and I am a smart mouth. So maybe sometimes and my brother is very sweet. So he took a lot of things to heart. So, and I take responsibility for that. It was the way it was. It was not easy to navigate. And the relationship, it drifted for a long time. And of course, and during that time, our lives went different ways. And of course, I came to the United States. For those who do not know, I was born in Mexico. And, my life, I built my life. He built his life. We different paths, different ways. So over the years, we only saw each other a couple times. Very, very few times. And of course, I got married, he got married, all of that. And we built our families and our lives and everything. And I don't think we ever have the opportunity to heal our relationship the right way. There was a time, of course, when I visit him, when we talk about certain things, but that was about it. Other than that, it was never really like a healing process that we needed to go through. Or maybe finding time to be together again. And I've been thinking about it, that I need to do something with him, where I maybe take a long trip or a week trip and with him, with his son, and go place, just like the boys vacation or so, or just do boys thing, man things, instead of just doing things with the family, And I think that would be great, because we never had that opportunity. So when this happened, when it was announced, or I was informed of it, it was a process, hard process. So honestly, relationship was never that great per se. We had our moments, discussions, even disagreements, many times over the phone, things like that. Things didn't end up well. We stopped talking for each other for a year or so. So when this happened, of course, it broke my heart. because it's my brother, you know, and my niece, it was my flesh, our family. And on the way there, and that's another thing, and I'm kind of telling you a story now. We drove there, and the reason why is because, you know, like, it was all of a sudden, it was spring break here in the US. It was also in Mexico, so the flying tickets were expensive. It was super expensive, and I could get some tickets, the cheaper tickets, but my wife and I would be completely separate, different seats, and my wife didn't want to do that, and the TCL problem and TSA, and everything else was happening, all this stuff that was, you know, it was chaotic. We tried to rent the vehicle. They did have no vehicles. It was just a mess. Ultimately, I told my wife, let's just take the car. We took it for service, make sure everything was fine, and I drove. But also, more than anything, it was an excuse for me, because on the way, honestly, I didn't know what to say. I did not know what to say. I was broken, felt sad for my brother, broken inside. I says, I haven't really the last conversation I had with my brother wasn't that great over the phone. And I said, I don't know what to say. But my wife really kind of put it all in perspective, said, you don't have to say anything. You just have to be there. And the driving really gave me the opportunity to think through and to analyze and to think about things in the past, and also to deal with my own grief on this. And I would say that it was a healing process. And when I got there, of course, I knew they went through the process, they cremated the body, all that stuff. They have a private viewing. It was my brother, of course, his family, his wife's family there. My parents were there. My sister was there. I wasn't there, but they were there. They had the private viewing, which it was heartbreaking, of course, but they needed that opportunity. And during that time of that, I spoke with my dad, of course. He was telling me that it was important that my brother was just talking. He needed to let go. He needed to talk, and he was talking. And the more he was talking about it, the more healing he was experiencing. We are a family of talkers. That's the thing. In my family, my wife's family is different. They're more quiet and private, but we need to talk. We need to, and that's perhaps one of the reasons why you see me been doing videos for many, many years, is because I need to talk. That's how we express things. And my brother's no different. And he's even a bigger talker than I. So, but that time on the ride, which is a long ride, by the way, it's a ride that normally can take, honestly, it's 32 hours or so non-stop, but we didn't do that. We had to stop some places. So technically, you're driving 8 hours a day. It takes you 4 days to drive there from where I live in South Carolina all the way to Yuma, Arizona, right there on the border with California. 3 hours, just 3 hours from San Diego. So technically it's a cross-country thing. It crosses the whole country. But I did it in 2.5 days. That's how I got there, how fast I got there. I'm not gonna say or deny that I was driving fast, but I got there on time, 2.5, and that was it, because they needed the service. We arrived on a Friday. The service was, they have like a memorial on Saturday, which was, by the way, a great memorial service. There was a lot of people there, a lot of family, a lot of friends. You know, they know a lot of people where they're from, and my brother lives in his wife's family is from that area, so it's like there was people from there, from, you know, it was right there in the border. So there's a lot of people there from Mexico, but there's a lot of people from Arizona, family from Arizona, from California. So it was packed. It was hot too. It was over 100 degrees, 104 degrees. It was a hot day, probably the hottest day that I was there. It was super, super hot, middle of the day. The church was, of course, you know, they had air conditioning, but it was working at full capacity because of the people. But the memorial was amazing, was great. Celebration of her life. And my brother had the opportunity to talk, and he was on point about what he said. And there were heartbreaking moments, of course, for me, the things that he was saying. And the way, what I took from them is that he did not blame God for what happened. He thanked God for the time, the years, the opportunity to be there for his daughter. But also an invitation to people to really look at their lives and what really matters. It was an amazing experience. There was a beautiful video with my niece. My niece was so you know, she was a character. They called even the preacher, the pastor, say, well, you know, because he got the opportunity to be there, meet them through the process, you know, go with them to the hospital, all that. call her the Mexican princess. Why? Because she loved pink. She loved to dress up kind of like a princess. Didn't care about what people say, but she liked to, to wear her cowboy boots. So she was a Mexican princess. That was who she was. She was a character. She was strong, but very, very clever and smart. And she knew from the last few weeks and the whole thing was getting bad, that things were not working. She knew. They tried to keep her secret from her because she was supposed to go back to school, and she was so excited. Through the previous chemo, she lost her hair. It was growing back beautifully. But she was very clever and smart. But it was a great time to be there, and really express finally. And when I was there, the first thing, my brother was talking, and he was talking forever. He needed to release that. And I just listened and listened and listened and laughed sometimes because we find things to joke about. And I felt that was it. My brother and my dad just said, this is all he needs. And I would say my wife was right. But anything than that, more than that, I felt also healing for me in the process. Now, I'm not going to deny now that I don't feel bad. Again, like I mentioned earlier, we're all the time wasted. That I could have been there, but because friction between our relationship with my brother and I did not see the need, or I felt that it was not the time. But honestly, by doing so, I make things worse. At least for me, for him, and for his kids, and even my daughter, because my daughter never really had a close relationship with that part of the family. And my daughter's now 25. Honestly, I have regrets. And I feel that there's something that I wanted to share here in this video. You already been here through this, listening to this story. Don't live with regrets. That is my invitation. Particularly when it comes about family. Honestly, I realize that a lot of the things that I've done in my life has been ways to escape pain. Whether it's collecting things, omnibuses, books, statues, toys, whatever comes to mind, it's always been more of an escapade or an escape from the pain and the reality of my grief, of the things that I've lost over time, over the things that happened when I was young. And by doing so, we don't see it, but the psychology of a collector is something that it's amazing to me, because in reality, it's a way to deal with pain. Some people deal with pain differently. Of course, some people deal with pain with drugs. Some people deal with pain with alcohol. Some people deal with pain with sex. Some people deal with pain in so many different ways, with different passions and hobbies. And my hobbies has been the way I have dealt with my pain. Even though I'm a Christian, even though I go to church, I preach, I did so many things, I've dealt with my pain by adding stuff and finding ways to really escape my mind from the pain of this world. We all go through that. But the problem is when it becomes our source of living. And when that becomes the only thing that we care about, we forget about everything and everybody else. And I've done that. And I can have this confession to make. I've done that to the point that I lost so many opportunities. A lot of the money that I've invested in buying things, which I bought so many things, I still do. I'm not going to say that I don't. I could have used that money to spend more time traveling, visiting my family, or, making the effort. Use that money, instead of using it for a new statue, how about just put it in a fund for something else? I've done that. And by doing so, I have harmed myself, my family, and the opportunity really to spend more time with them. The loss of my niece really kind of put it in perspective for me. I know she's in a better place now. I'm glad she is. She's no longer in pain. She is in heaven, and forever she will be the princess that she always wanted to be, that she's always been. She's always been. But on this life, I lost the opportunity to spend more time with her. And I feel that by doing those things, by really hiding behind my collectibles or my passions or my hobbies, I just harm myself as a person. And I did also harm her. this is my invitation to you. And I didn't want to make this or like I'm better than you or not, because I'm not. I recognize that my flaws is that if you have the opportunity to spend more time with the family, with your kids, do it. With your nieces, with your nephews. So something that I have been able to do with my nephew, I would say that my nephew, my sister-in-law's son, because we live close, he lives here. So I've been able to, he went through, the parents went through a divorce. And of course, we've been there supportive, and we've been able to build a relationship with him. And every year for the past, I don't know how many years, we always take him with us on a summer vacation trip or something. And he loves it. He looks forward to it. Now, of course, he's older now. He's taller than I. I'm not sure if he's going to want to do it this year, but we've been able to build those memories. And I know he loves us very much. We love him very much. I think that's important to do. Find the time. Maybe you don't have any kids in the family. Maybe you don't have any kids. You're not married. But maybe you have a nieces, nephews that perhaps don't have the best family relationships. They're engaged, their parents might be divorced or separated or single parents or whatever reason. And they don't have the opportunity to go out, but they look up to you. Why don't they spend more time with them? Try to spend more time with them. Try to use some of the money that you use for these things that are always on reprint, like books, like omnibuses. They're always on reprint. They reprint many all the time. Sometimes they take long, but they still reprint them because that's how they make money. Statues, there's always going to be a new Captain America statue. There's always going to be a new Batman statue. So what's the point of just getting, this is my grail? Because that grail is going to be surpassed by the next grail. So don't worry about it. Toys, there's always going to be a better figure. So sometimes invest some of that money, time, into some things that matter the most, because some things you will not be able to get back. I can replace a book. I can replace a statue. I cannot replace a niece. I cannot replace a child. And I cannot replace the time that has been lost. So this is what I wanted to share with you from my personal pain to you. Don't waste time. That's the most important, most valuable thing you can have. That is the most valuable collectible you will ever have, because you will never replace the time. You will never be able to bring it back. Don't postpone things. I did postpone a lot of trips. Don't postpone them. Make the effort. And by doing so, I know that your life will be better, that you will find more joy in the process. My friends, I want to say thank you very much. Joyce, I will ever miss you. I love you very much. Thank you for being part of my life. Thank you for bringing joy to our family. I know you're in heaven now. You already finished the race. And one day I will meet you. So wait for me. I'll do my best. I'll trust in Jesus that I will be able to make it in one day to see you again. My friends, God bless you. Take care. I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.